when dreams and reality collide. A life is turned upside down. Thrust into a conflict where ancient shadows fight secret wars. For control of the future. Her allies hide in plain sight, but so do her enemies.
All right. We are live again. Hello. Blue is here. How are you going, Blue Samurai? How you been?
I'm doing all right. Got through the day at work.
So in case anybody isn't aware, and I'm sure you are, if you're the kind of person who's going to be tuning into this show, you're probably aware that literally every man and his dog that has a YouTube channel is streaming right now. So we're not sure how many of you are going to stick around for little old us. Who have we got here? Draw and Talk, that's another guy. Greater Point 5, Professor Geek. Surely there's other people. I think even the Jack Show is starting soon.
I think they're starting as soon as we end.
Oh, good. Oh, so you were right that we should just sort of slot in here right now.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Good idea. Hey, Felix Haas is here. How you going, man? Hail, brother. Yeah. We'll see how many we can get in here, though. I mean, we'll just have a little chat.
About what?
Oh, let me bring it up. You are in for a treat.
Hello, Felix.
Have you seen this?
I saw a tweet with that title and some little cartoon making fun of it, and didn't see any of the substance.
Star Wars story group writer, Matt Martin. So what a genius this guy is. Star Wars canon is all fake anyway. Did you know that? Did you know that Star Wars canon is all fake anyway?
Oh, I was hoping to go to a galaxy far, far away. Yeah.
Nothing, chaotic neutral. Nothing matters. I mean, why even bother watching Star Wars? Why even bother reading any fiction? It's not real. So why bother?
Yeah, and if I understand correctly, this is his response to people objecting to anything being done with Star Wars, or what's going on?
Let's have a read through. Hang on. Smiling Bandito's here. I don't know. Are you working, Smiling? You can come in if you want. We've got a few slots open. So, but yeah, let's have a read through. So Star Wars Story Group member Matt Martin recently declared that fans can pick and choose what is canon in Star Wars because it's all fake anyway. And this is all because of the they all view fans as toxic, and all this discussion over the fact that the last movies, did so much of that subversion of expectations.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go on.
These people remind me of when I was a kid, meaning 12 and under, that I didn't understand higher concepts like cultural mythology and why stories matter. But that's just what they sound like to me is I remember being like this when I was a child,
It doesn't even have to go that far. I mean, matter, it's such a strange thing. Like what of course it's fake. Of course it's fiction. But what's that got to do with anything? That we're watching it. It doesn't matter if it's fiction. We're watching a story. It's just utterly ridiculous. Basically, they're just saying, who cares? God, we got to hope this ad doesn't play autoplay. who what does it matter if I just completely wreck a character? Basically, what does it matter that I'm just diverging? Like, I know that it's take Star Wars for example, is what we're talking about. I know the first movies were about the Skywalkers, Luke and Anakin, Darth Vader, and all that sort of stuff. And then we went and had the prequels, and that was about Anakin. And now we've got the sequels, and that's about someone else, even though it's supposed to be a continuation of the Skywalker saga, I guess. But it doesn't matter because it's all fake anyway. Like, what do you care?
It's this detachment from reality that just nothing matters, as someone already said, I think. Nothing matters.
Exactly. I'm of the mind that you can consider anything you want canon if that makes you happy. Well, what the hell does that even mean? What do you mean anything is canon? Is a cucumber canon? Is God, I don't know. Is Willy Wonka in the X-Men canon? What the hell are you talking about? If anything is canon, then nothing is canon. And then why even have a word for it?
Yeah. This is I don't want to go the hyper philosophical route because people should understand that I'm probably telling you everything I know so I probably don't know more. But I remember when I was learning about postmodernism, and it was where it came out from in really hyper anti-Bible German theologians. So these are Christians who want to get rid of the Bible, basically, combined with the existentials, combined with I forget who else, but anyway, out of the late 1800s, what they eventually came down to was that the meaning of a text, and they would do this in written form, but if you do this with one of them in verbal, like out loud, it pisses them off. But because you refuse the meaning of author's intent when they're speaking to you. But anyway, the meaning of a text is what you feel you experience. I put the word feel in there when reading it. So grammar means nothing. Author's intent means nothing. If you experience something while reading it, then that is the meaning of the sentence.
This is the whole thing that we've been kind of grappling with in Comicsgate, that you've got people who have absolutely zero respect for canon, for continuity, for the characters. They don't care about comic books. We know they think comic books are stupid, silly, fun crap that has no, it's got no connection to folklore, no connection to anyone's past and history. We've got some people turning up here. Rancid Potatoes here, Hal Rancid. Chaotic Neutral was in here earlier. CG World Order is here. Hail, CG World Order. How you going?
CG.
Thanks for coming.
Well, what it comes down to is this thing that I mentioned a second ago has been so spread throughout the culture and the thinking that the only reality is what you feel, what you imagine in your head, not things external to yourself. And so that leads us to, the canon is what's in your head regarding any story. Forget the author, and it's just parallel. It's the
relativistic approach to storytelling.
Yes.
So this guy added, for the most part, it still works, but there are some contradictions with other storytelling if you really care. I don't know what he means by that. Is he saying that because there's some contradictions in storytelling, then why even try? Because there's always going to be some contradiction or something. Maybe that's what he's saying there.
But it's if you care.
Our fascination with canon is killing the way we value stories.
What?
I would say our fascination with canon and continuity is what has made the stories so valuable. Like the achievement with the MCU, how they, the reason why they made so many billions of dollars is because you can go back to some of those first movies. To the first, with the holocron and whatever it is. No, the holocron is Star Wars. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The cubes and whatever. Like that stuff is all linked to Thanos, and then it all culminates in sort of one big meta narrative. That's why that story did so well. And in comic books as well, for a long time there were editors and senior editors, and they made sure that you weren't contradicting previous stuff, and you weren't messing with the characters too much. Characters can change, obviously, but they've been breaking them and ruining them and leaving them sort of dead, lying on the ground as they warpath through the entire industry.
There is
CG World Order's already read it, and he says it's the most idiotic thing he's ever read. Yeah, it's just insane.
There is nothing for your children to inherit from these stories if nothing matters.
Exactly. I mean, it's not that it's not real. It's not that it's fiction that is the issue here. It's the whole. I mean, we as human beings, we're storytelling animals. This is built into our DNA. This stuff matters, and it doesn't matter so much that it's whether it's real or not. It's just so alien to me. Hey, we've got someone here who's never been here before. We're talking with Comics with Drew. How you going, buddy?
Hey, man, thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Oh, your microphone is you sound like you're from Tron or something.
Well, it's the first time I've used it. Well, it might be because I'm in not the best audio situation as far as
no, it's definitely a connection thing. It's going.
If it's noise canceling, you might just need to raise it more in front of your mouth.
Can you hear that, Blue Samurai?
Oh yeah, the little buzz. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now you're muted. I just invited Drew on.
Am I buzzing again?
That's it. That's perfect.
That's better? Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So Word Nerd is here. Hal Word Nerd. Yeah, static is what it was. So Comics with Drew. Comics with Drew has a channel. It's just called Comics with Drew. And I've been listening to some of his videos recently, and I just really like the sound of his voice. He makes really clear, articulate videos. And he talked about this on his latest video, I think. So I thought, let's invite him on, and he's going to have a perspective on this.
Yeah, no, I definitely have perspective on this. This is
you obviously thought it's as ridiculous as we all do.
I struggle to find words because I get so frustrated about it. You would think that someone who does this for a living would understand the point of what canon is, and you certainly, even if you didn't, you wouldn't actually say something like it's all fake anyway. I mean, we're talking about fiction. Obviously, it's fake. I mean, this is not something you have to really. It seems like he's talking down to people when he says this kind of thing, and it shows just a total and utter disregard for the whole point of storytelling in general.
It really shows his hand, doesn't it? It really exposes the whole facade. It reminds me of the people who, like, just say someone will come up with some ridiculous word. Like, a word that I find ridiculous is cis, as in you got trans people and cis people. I think it's a completely redundant word. It's not necessary, but people use it, and then I might say, look, you just kind of pulled this word out of somewhere, and it's a fake word, and it's just not necessary. And people are like, their response is, all words are made up. What are you talking about? Say,
wait, no, why are they saying all words are made up? Cis is a normally used prefix as opposed to trans in chemistry. Well, it describes molecules.
Is that true? Is that true?
Yeah, it's a real prefix, but
okay, well, there you go.
The way that they're insisting, part of what you said was really interesting, the way that they're insisting on having the word instead of having nothing, it takes away the implication that by having an extra term for one and not for the other, that the other is normal, and that trans therefore is not. So both have to have a label, and then everybody's normal.
Stands that it just reminds me of the people who are like that, who would just, it's basically, it's hard, it's tricky, it requires talent, and it constricts his own personal creative freedom that he has to work within canon. So it's just easier for him, and he doesn't have to care, and he can just shit all over everything if he just goes and says, well, it's all fake anyway, so what's the point?
It's a big disclaimer.
Antoine Dennison, see how you going, buddy? You spoke quicker than I could write, Michael. Yeah, I'm kind of... Storytelling is part of human tradition that has existed for eons. Exactly. Like, this is something that comes to humans like breathing. We tell our children stories. Children are drawn into stories if you've ever read to your child. It's something that we live and breathe. And this guy is just trying to say, oh, no, well, it doesn't matter. None of that matters anyway. Just do what you want because it's all fake. The idea that the storyteller does not care is a betrayal of the implied agreement. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Do we know if he's written any particular stories that we can look at?
All I know is what's on this article that you went through. So, what does he goes on to say? The hunger for facts above all else leads to things like filler episode, becoming a derogatory term for stories that don't advance the right. So filler episodes are good, according to him. So pointless things that just buffer out prearranged corporate sort of structured timelines they're a good thing, according to him. This guy is just off the planet. You're buzzing a lot again, man, Drew.
Right. If you want to mute me until I can figure this stuff out.
Yeah, I will have to because it's just whenever you can unmute yourself whenever you think you got it figured out. This is just bizarre, and it's just so. It's just this kind of thinking. How rampant must it be in these circles? Because this is how we got the latest Star Wars movies. This is how we've got the state that the comic book industry is in right now. That these people just do not care. This is like they're given a job. So you're given a job to write Hulk or whatever, or some character, and you're just thinking, oh great, now this character is mine. I can just do anything I want with it. It's like they just take ownership of the character. I was watching a Liam Gray stream the other day, and he said something, I can't remember who he was quoting, but it just sounded really good. And he said, when you become a writer on these sorts of things, these long-term characters, it's not yours. You become a custodian of folklore.
Yes.
And you have to respect that. And obviously you can't just flip up the table and say, well, if you're upset, why do you care anyway? Because it's all fake. It's just ridiculous. How you going, Drew? Are you back? No, can't hear you. Trust me, guys, Drew is really cool. Like, he has a really good voice. He's you got to go watch his videos, comics with Drew. And I want to promote this guy because I think he's going to be a really important voice once he gets some more eyeballs on his show. But sometimes there's technical difficulties.
Well, I've tried looking up Matt Martin while Drew is getting himself back in with us. Nope. And I haven't found quickly enough what he has written for them. So we've got Fandom. The wiki on Fandom doesn't tell me anything at a glance, and his profile on StarWars.com or wherever. But I'm led to a question. These are the type of people, I haven't heard it from Matt himself, who say, oh, I love, topic X, which as Zach keeps telling us, that means they've heard of it. Oh, I love this thing. Now I want to go change it. Are these people, like, do they not have stories from their own youth that they value?
Maybe not. Maybe they're growing up on the kind of rubbish that's getting put out now where nothing does matter. So they just don't understand the importance of it. Smiling Bandito says the reason the Lord of the Rings was so powerful for so many was because the consistency and underpinning structure of the lore. Yeah, Tolkien had an entire world built in his mind and on paper. And even, if you only read Lord of the Rings or you only read The Hobbit, that world was still there. It still existed, even if you weren't reading about it all the time. And that's exactly right. That's what made it so lasting. And so it resonated with us so well. Yeah. They have no respect. This is what kind of shocked Zach so much for so long, was that nothing matters. It's all made up. It's all silly Billy. And that's what I think has driven away so many people from comics, especially. I remember that. I remember you're always aware that you're reading about a superhero with crazy powers. We're aware that we're reading Cyberfrog when we read it, and it's Cybernetic Frog, and they've got funny names. But I don't ever want to hear EVS say, "Oh well, if you don't like it, well, it's fake anyway. So what does it matter?" He's always saying, and I always say as well with my story, like these things are real to me. They live inside my head, and I experience them and I feel them, and I want to put that down onto paper.
Yeah, and that experience and feel, for the reader as well. I mean, maybe these people just have never really connected with anyone through story, if you know what I mean. Like, what makes an old story valuable to me? Why did I like Lord of the Rings? And the setting was consistent, but and I liked the setting, but it was something where I could, I guess, feel with the characters, and they don't have to be real for me to have some kind of compassion, if you know what I mean.
Do you think it might have something to do with the fact that these are the same people who say you can't enjoy X because you're not X? You can't empathize with a character or something because you don't share their superficial traits. So to them, they're just lacking that empathy in the first place, maybe. So they're just not really. I mean, I'm just really struggling to wrap my head around how you can be a writer on a story like Star Wars and think canon is rubbish. Are you back, Drew? No, I can't hear you, buddy. Do you want me? You know what I'll do? I'll knock you out, and then you can come back in, and I'll see if that does anything.
Hope he comes back.
Yeah, so do I. Okay. Yeah. Drew's great. StreamYards, what are you doing to us? He added fans. Oh, here we go. Now he's blaming the fans. This guy is just a treat. What have we got here? We got some comments. Awesome. That's what we love. We love talking to the chat. That's all I'm all about. I was worried because I was saying at the start, there's so many streams going on at the moment. I was worried no one's going to show up and we won't be able to chat with you guys. Their contempt for the law may be a coping mechanism, not wanting to get overwhelmed with the weight of the task. I think you're right. I think they're just lazy. I think it's really hard. It's really hard, time consuming, because you've got to read everything. If you come on and you're going to be writing Spider-Man, you better know everything that Spider-Man's ever done. And that's going to take time. It's going to take effort. And if you come into Star Wars, there's a whole lot of lore going on there. There's a whole lot of backstory, and you better get onto it. Drew, you're back.
It says that it's working.
You're working. We've got
Yay.
Drew.
Yay! So embarrassing for an IT person.
It's all good. It's all good. This is the least professional show on YouTube, and I think that's why people like it. They like to feel like they're just having a chat at a bar or a pub with some friends. So
yeah, you don't want to put us on your resume.
No. I really appreciate it. You guys are doing the Lord's work out there. So
thank you, man.
But yeah, no, this canon thing is driving me insane. So I'm sorry. The other gentleman's name is Nerd.
On the panel?
Yes.
Blue Samurai. So you can
Blue
either call
Samurai.
him Blue or you can call him Samurai.
Blue. I'll call him Blue. You're my boy, Blue.
Nobody's been calling me Zero, so it's kind of been, a big nothing.
Yeah, it's because you know what? It gets chopped off when I look in the back end. All I see is Blue Samurai. So I could also say we're here with Comics with Doctor because it just says the DR there. But I know he's Drew.
Yeah, I can just drop that down to Drew. It'd be fine. So
Nerd is the word says most of these fictional characters have been around a lot longer than us and will be around a lot longer after we are gone. Many of them will make a bigger impact on the world than any of us ever could. You are exactly right. Yeah, it isn't real. That's right. They don't care. It's silly stuff. It's all just, maybe it has to do with the fact that they're pamphleteers as well. They're activists. Stories are just a means to spread their activism, perhaps. So whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Kellaway's here. Society has become all about politics a lot for people in modern times, many on the left. Their whole life, every walking minute of their life is politics. Isn't it so tiresome when they get like that? Yeah.
I want to comment about. Oh, actually, let's go ahead and keep reading.
House of R came out for me. Thank you, buddy. House of R has been a regular hit. Thank you so much. Now I know who you are because I said to my wife at the time, I say, well, I've got a lot of backers from this country that House of R is from. So thank you so much, man. That's so cool. Kellaway, the writer room from Comics, TV News, Hollywood. Yeah, it's all about agenda and propaganda. You're exactly right, and that's why it's going to be really hard to slot your agenda into things when in the past the canon has not been that, and even to the point where just say you want to show that the big powerful white man was always a Nazi all along. It's really hard to slot that in with Captain America, isn't it? So you've got to just pretty much flip the whole thing on its head because that's the story you want to tell. And I agree with CG World Order here. Contempt for law makes you a poor storyteller. Karen Travis was one of my favorite writers. She jumped into both Halo, Star Wars universe, seamlessly bringing her ideas to lore of both. Well, I'm not familiar with Karen, but that's cool to hear. Yeah, so I was saying earlier, Martin, not content in just being a abysmal writer and custodian of folklore. He's going to blame the fans too. What a surprise. Are you surprised about that, Drew, that he's blaming the fans?
Oh, no, not at all. People in there, it's funny. This happens in a lot of different areas of life where people, I think they feel like what they want to do is make an impact on quote unquote important things. And so they run around doing things like for example, writing or doing entertainment or acting or even reporting, and they think that what they do isn't really worth it unless they inject some kind of important issue into what they're doing, and they fail to realize that what they are doing, if they, for example, are a creator or they're a writer or they're an actor, they are doing something that's important because it's something that humanity needs. They need good stories, and they need to be able to be inspired, and that's the important work that they're doing. And I think a lot of them miss that, and when you call them out on it, they feel like you're attacking their important work. And it's like, look, Star Wars in this case is a cultural icon. It's something that you need to understand is important to a lot of people, and that when you sully it with whatever current events you want to jam into it, what you're doing is you're dating it, and you're keeping it from being understood and enjoyed for generations to come.
Yeah, exactly. And Antoine says, I make a good point about race. If these archetypes weren't straight white men, they wouldn't dare be so dismissive of them. Yeah, but even with other races, black men or Asian people, they have their own distinct ways that they mess with them. So I think EVS has pointed out that they'd like to make black men as non-threatening as possible because, they want to just, whatever the stereotype is out there of whatever kind of person it is, they want to sort of go against that. And then they just take away, all the things that make characters interesting and fun. Like, no one wants to just read that every single black man is a really small, submissive, just kind of person who follows and never takes the lead. And it is amazing how they expose themselves so much in the actions that they take. So this guy said, sorry, go on.
Well, they don't want to acknowledge that people are complex, and people have complex motivations.
All the people are individuals.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you look at Lando and you look at Han. These aren't like wonderful, heroic people from the word go. They have complicated motivations, and just like anybody else in the world, I mean, people that are watching that story. When you're growing up, when you're a kid, you're watching, you're thinking, oh, I want to be Luke Skywalker because he's the greatest, he's perfect and everything. But then you kind of get older, you're like, I don't know, Han seems to kind of understand the world a little bit better, like maybe I do personally. And these people have this infantile understanding of what these characters are and what the point of them are. I think it was Kasdan who was telling J.J. Abrams when they were talking about writing The Force Awakens, he says, let your badasses be badasses to the end. And so it's like you don't need to rehabilitate somebody. You know, the character is the character for a reason. Han shot first for a reason, you know, and so he could have an arc where he came back around to having a better understanding of what his role in the entire rebellion was. So, yeah, I can go on forever about this.
I know you made a good video about it. I'm going to post the link in the chat to
Thank you.
Drew's
Thank you very
channel.
much.
So there you go, guys. Go subscribe to him because he's got some good videos on there. And yeah, it's a really good format. He talks for about I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And I just thought they're really cool videos. And he's only just started, so he's only got like, what have you got, like 14 subs or something? So
Yeah, like 13.
yeah. So yeah, go subscribe to him because yeah, you know, we need more people out there doing this stuff. Delta Spurg Force is here. Hail Delta Spurg. How you going? Love Delta Spurg. So yeah, this guy's taking, you know, fans generally put too much emphasis on what the company deems official. Well, look, the fans are going to read what you give them, and the fans clearly have a better understanding of what canon means. And the fans know that, well, if I'm reading it and it comes from Lucasfilm or Disney now, or if it comes from, you know, Yoda 17 double ears on Twitter, that it's going to be official if it comes from the, you know, Lucasfilm and not from that random guy on the internet.
I'm a register Yoda double ears.
Just trying to. It's funny. I was trying to come up with something funny and nothing would come.
It was funny. I like it.
Judge
me by my humble
hey,
view.
you really need to get back to making. I really need to get back to making videos. Yeah, you do. Everyone does. Like, let's get out there and just start making more videos. It is surprising and encouraging and humbling and awesome that, you know, we've got 17 people in here when we've got 1 million people streaming at the moment. Like this, I can see 4. Like Ethan is streaming right now. Greater Point 5, Professor Geek. It's just you can have a small channel and, you know, you can still have cool conversations. So definitely, yeah, get back into it. We need more voices out there.
So,
Oh my
Comics
god,
with Drew. That's the name of your channel.
Comics with Drew. That's it.
Yes, that's the name of the channel. I haven't got enough subscribers to actually have an official URL at this point, but, you know, small steps.
I do apparently, but I haven't set that up, or I don't know where to find it, or something like that.
My wife actually beat me. She's got a totally unrelated. She's a teacher. She does a science channel, and she's got way more subscribers. So she actually has her custom URL, and she reminds me of that every single day.
All right. Well, I'm putting your channel link in the chat anyway. There we go.
Well, thank you. Oh,
So
yes,
here's the end.
that means I'm not an incel for all those out there that are concerned about my knowledge of Star Wars.
Here's the end. Here's this a person who's hired by some part of Star Wars. It's all fake anyway, so you can choose to accept whatever you want as part of the story.
Did these people have conversations that work that way?
That's an excellent
Anything.
question. That's
I should have found that GIF of, you know, those women, and she stands up and says, "That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works."
Actually, you could probably cut Han Solo saying that's not how the Force works to
That's right. That would
to
be
fit-
better.
to fit in there. So
If this was a professional show, I'd have had that already preloaded.
I
If you
should've done
can
that in
do
my
a good
video.
impersonation, then go for it.
No, I'm not Mark Hamill. I can't do a Harrison Ford impersonation. So
That's not how the Force works. I don't know how that was.
that's probably a highlight of that movie for me, as a matter of fact.
I think that's the only good thing I took from that film.
You know, that could be
Yeah.
the motto for the entire sequel trilogy. This isn't how the Force works.
It was such a bait and switch, that movie, because it looked really good. In fact, all of the latest movies, they look good. You know, visually, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. You know, even when they're doing what this guy's talking about and just ignoring the canon, it looks cool when it happens. So, you know, you may get that moment where you're like, oh, that's kind of cool, and then you stop to think about it for half a second, and you go, oh, like, okay, that makes no sense. Like, if a small ship can just go into hyperdrive through a big ship and just completely demolish it, what's to stop any ship from doing the same thing to, say, the Death Star? and just hyperdriving right through into the core and blowing the whole thing up,
even by drone.
even by drone. Who was I was watching a video. I don't know who it was. Was that your video, Drew?
Yes, as I was talking about that, because
You were saying stick a hyperdrive onto the back of a droid and just shoot it in there. Was that
yeah, no, I mean, I remember sitting in the theater watching this movie, you know, and by the way, this is the first Star Wars movie I walked out of feeling nothing. And I can't begin to tell you how sad that made me feel. But anyway, getting back to your point, you know, this is supposed to be a big, huge emotional moment, and this is supposed to be the big heroic sacrifice for this character. And I'm sitting there thinking, like literally in the theater, what the hell is this? Well, how is this? How is this even working? You know, I wasn't quite sure what was going on, and I see people twist themselves in knots over and over and over, trying. Well, there's like this sort of kind of theoret. I'm like, no, you don't. If you get, I've heard this before. I've heard someone say this. If you have to go read a comic book to understand why something isn't working in a movie, then there's a problem with the movie.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. And that's what they seem to be doing.
So
Read the story and find out why this person did that, or why that was so important to them in the movie. Well, yeah, you've just failed at your movie. And this Rancid brings up a good point. And then they get angry when you don't accept their story. Yeah, because like, what do you mean Iceman is gay? Look, we have 10,000 panels of him. We can see his thoughts. You know, back in the day, I don't know if you used to read old comics. They used to use the thought bubble a lot. You would be listening to their thoughts. And yeah, there was nothing in there that would have hinted at that. And then you say, well, what's going on there? And they say, well, it's all fake anyway. So why do you care? He's gay now. All right. Just deal with it.
And now also the thought bubbles are no longer thought bubbles. Now they are the driving narration.
Yeah, right.
There's no third party narrator.
Drew, when that happened, the hyperdrive missile, when that happened, did you understand the implications of it straight away? You were like, well, what the?
Yeah, no, I did, because she does. I mean, they do the light speed special effect when she's actually going through it, and I'm watching this, and everybody's like, ooh, because, you know, honestly, it does look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking, wait a second. Okay, forget about the aspects of whether or not she could have done this with any of the other ships without doing this herself. I'm thinking, wait a second, Star Wars and Return of the Jedi are all nullified instantaneously because of this particular moment in this movie. You know, why even Rogue One is nullified, you know? And that's like part of the Disney sequel or spin-off movies. And at that point, I'm like, you guys, what the hell are you guys doing? You know, and I'm like, I was struggling, trying to, it's like, there's got to be an explanation for why this is occurring, because if this is what the rule is, then this makes no sense, and it completely destroys basically a foundational concept that Star Wars is based upon.
Yeah, CG World Order is pointing out as well, like the whole, and Joseph, have you been here before, man? Thanks for showing up. I don't know if I recognize you. So yeah, thanks for coming. The whole Star Wars thing is, if you have, you know, there's credits, there's money, there's, you know, people mine things. They're always talking about mining and industry, and, you know, you got to collect a lot of stuff. It took the Empire a long time to make the Death Star. They have this massive empire, and that's why they're able to make these enormous ships. And you know, the what are they called? The Mon Calamari. They come along. They're such a huge help for the Rebel Alliance because they have this fleet of huge ships. If you can just send anything through them at hyperdrive, what's the point? It really does nullify the entire system that the universe operates under.
And wouldn't the Empire have already figured this out in the first place?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I was just reminded while we were talking about that of some of the two greatest sci-fi action movies ever made, in my opinion, are Terminator and Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
Absolutely.
And then in this last one, I didn't see it because I heard someone talking about it, what happens in the first 5 minutes. I'm not going to spoil it in case anyone hasn't seen it, but they completely nullify I mean, it's not that it couldn't happen. It's not going against canon or anything like that, maybe. But what it does is just completely nullifies everything that happened in the first two movies, as if they don't matter at all. So it's just like, well, why would I watch the third movie when you're trying to sell me on this third movie, and you're just basically starting the movie off by saying, forget the first two movies, as brilliant as they were, as groundbreaking as they are. This is just, who are these people and why are they writing our entertainment? How are they getting these
That's a
jobs?
brilliant point. It's like, have you ever seen Alien 3 and then Aliens, the sequel to Alien? It's the same kind of thing, only in Alien 3, they don't rehash all of Alien 2. Because I didn't see the new Terminator movie specifically because of exactly what you're talking about. People say, "Oh,
I couldn't go through that."
Yeah,
my heart could not take that.
I'm not going to. After all the emotional investing that you do in T2, which is one of the greatest action films, if not the greatest action film ever made, is like, this is the story, and you're really, drawn into the struggle that Sarah and John Connor have for this, and then they basically make this new movie the same exact movie with different characters that are more politically acceptable for some idiot reason. Like, there are Terminator fans already out there. So
yeah, like, there's just so much comes apart with this one little thing, and it's just they all they're going for is that cool look, that cool moment, that cool visual. And if you care about, well, hang on, what does this do to the entire universe you've created here? Then, toxic fans complaining again. Could you send some sort of I don't know, some sort of explosive chain reaction device? I'm sure they would have it in this universe, some sort of high potency nuclear weapon, and just hyperdrive it right into the middle of a planet. You wouldn't have to have a Death Star. You could just have these small nuclear, hyperdrive droids and just going around killing any planet you want. It's just undermines everything.
I miss the quaint times when we argued about a ventilation shaft being a stupid weakness in the Death Star.
And now we got this.
So quaint, how naive and innocent we were. Yeah, oh man. So Nerd is the Word says he watched Terminator in the cinema. Several people actually walked out in the first 10 minutes. And this idea of subverting expectations, of just destroying everything that came before, it is...
I need a trigger warning when you say subvert expectations.
Yeah, it goes against everything that everyone likes. If it worked, do it. It's never worked. It's never gonna work, or at least not from these people, not with these kind of stories. You want to subvert expectations, make a little indie film about something with no prior history, and start off as like a comedy. Make a comedy that's all lighthearted, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, the husband dies in a car accident, and all of a sudden now it's a really hard drama, and you really feel that gut punch, like, oh, this is really taking me by surprise. That would subvert my expectations in a way that might be interesting. But don't destroy Terminator 2, like you said, probably the greatest action movie ever made. The first Terminator to me is it's just amazing science fiction, and it doesn't have as much action as the second one, but it's horror too. It's like a horror action science fiction blend, and it all worked to a high enough degree for me, consistency wise and everything. I know time travel stories will always have some sort of inherent loophole, but whatever. To just say, we're going to make a new film, forget all the men, forget all the characters, and we're just going to absolutely undo everything in the first 10 minutes. Who hired these people, and why are they getting paid?
It's like, I think that there's some magic audience out there that if only we had made this heavy action R-rated film, we would get all the soccer moms out to watch it. If only we had a soccer mom starring in there. It's like if someone, I don't know if you have the Hallmark Channel where you are, but it's like if someone took over the Hallmark Channel, it's like, let's drop F-bombs in our Hallmark movies and have lots of explosions and make them Michael Bay Hallmark movies. Are guys going to watch them now? No, you've got an audience built in for it. It's mothers and grandmothers, and that's what they want, that Hallmark stuff. That's their thing, and there's no reason. It's funny. Have you ever heard of the rule of cool? The Michael Bay rule of cool?
No.
Okay, Michael Bay. If you've watched any Michael Bay movies, a common theme is that a lot of times things happen that don't make any sense in Michael Bay movies, and they look cool, but they make no sense. And Michael Bay says, I don't care if it makes any sense. I just want it to look cool. And Armageddon is a classic example of this. If you want to do the rule of cool, like blowing up whatever Star Destroyer is there, make Michael Bay films. Don't make Star Wars films. Don't make science fiction
it can work.
films.
Like everyone knows when they go into a Michael Bay film what they're getting themselves into. You leave your brain at the door, and you have fun.
Precisely.
You know what? I wasn't going to go see the last Star Wars movie, and that's so you couldn't. If you had said that to me back in the day, I would have seen. There's no possible way in any universe that I wouldn't go see a new Star Wars movie at the cinema. But I wasn't going to. My friend bought me a ticket and said, "If I'm going to have to go through this, you're coming with me." So I went, and because at that point, I'd been sort of, watching all the Fandom Menace stuff and everything. My brain was so switched off and my heart was so cold and dead and black to Star Wars that I actually ended up enjoying the movie because I just didn't care at all. All I was looking at was that Michael Bay explosion. I was like, that's a cool looking shot. I didn't care that they were riding horses on the top of the thing. It didn't bother me. Oh, look, the lightning's going up. It didn't bother me that, they said something's going to happen in the climax and then literally 30 seconds later, they do it and it doesn't happen and it's all good and it all works. It didn't bother me. I was just like, oh, I'm just eating popcorn and watching explosions on a screen. I was that divorced from caring.
It's funny that if you talk about the story but it looked good, the answer you get back is this false either or fallacy of as if they couldn't do both, and they can do both.
They have done both.
Right, absolutely.
They have done both. Novocaine has a point here. Part of our main problem is the creators of these great franchises have passed on, or they've sold what they're doing. We got stand-in writers on someone else's brainchild. That's exactly right. Like this so often happens with companies as well. Like Apple. Apple just almost went bankrupt after when they brought back Steve Jobs. That's when it all came around again. And it just seems to be a thing. Like there's a saying, like a kingdom is its king, and you're exactly right. They just bring in you guys must have seen that video of all the Star Wars writers kind of out on a writing camp or something somewhere on a writer's retreat, and it's
is
just
that all the women.
Yeah, well, no, there is a bunch of women there, and it's not about that. It's just more like these people, like they look like they're in their 30s, and they're the ones who are going to decide what Star Wars is going forward. And it's an entire room. I'm talking like 40 people, and they're just writing ideas on the board. And there's all kind of buzzwords. There's diversity and representation and all that kind of crap in there as well. And it's just like, how did it come to this? You're like the king of Gondor. No, isn't it Gondor? No, the Rohirrim in Lord of the Rings. Like, how did it come to this? And you're just like, what is going on here? Like, this should be, it's not going to be Lucas anymore, but a tight-knit group of, legends need to be writing the future of Star Wars, not this pack of slubby, chubby, weirdo 30-something-year-old millennials who obviously don't care about canon.
No, they don't care. That's the problem. Like I was looking at the chat, and Joseph Curvin a little while ago said was answering with somebody else and said, "Primer, that's a great time travel story. I need to see it again." I saw Primer, and it's extremely complicated, but figuring out the hard sci-fi of it for what exactly happened where, cause and effect, because it's a time travel story, I would never be interested in that if I didn't end up caring about the characters. And we don't have that with the new Star Wars. I only saw Rogue One and the first of the trilogy, the Force Awakens. I cheated on the other ones a little bit, but To me, Force Awakens was just, I walked in thinking I was going to care, appreciating Han Solo being there for a couple of lines, like that's not how the Force works, and then the rest of it was just stuff happens.
Yeah, if you don't care about the characters, why are you going to care about any of the action? I don't know if you guys watch. There's a funny channel. I think it's Screen Rant or something like that. And there's a guy who does movie pitches, and it's just himself, and he pitches to himself, and it's hilarious. He's got millions of subscribers. Anyway, he did one on the third Matrix movie. And
oh my God!
He pointed out. He pointed out at this point. At the point of the climax of the third Matrix movie, everyone who you care about, every character is either completely diminished or far away from all the action and what's happening in the plot. And it's just like, oh, they've got this big battle for Zion. Who's there? Morpheus is on his way. Neo's over there, blindly stumbling around some things. Who else? His Trinity's with him, and everyone else is either dead or just completely. And it's like, what? Why would anyone care? They come in machines, kill all of the people in Zion. I don't care. I don't know who any of them are. You haven't. It's just so bizarre. Delta Spag,
true about,
we have to
about
smash
that.
the patriarchy. We do have to smash that patriarchy, and that's what this is all about. What do you mean Ethan just got taken down? What do you mean he just got taken down?
Oh, yeah, I've got his little thing here. It says unavailable again.
Do you think YouTube planned this all for just today?
I don't know, but his backings took off when his network connections troubled.
Yeah, we should talk about that as well. Let's do a refresh on this. This is friggin' insane. I didn't think he was going to make it. And then, boom, he was just there. $835,000 friggin' dollars. And he's still got 4 hours left. I'm surprised he didn't sell out of these boxes because the value in that is insane. But
I've wanted one of those boxes. I'm trying to find a way to justify $200 and shipping.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Sorry. The only way I justified it myself was seeing that there were going to be multiple stories in there. Plus, and then it's like, okay, so plus I get the special, any more covers or the special cover for Blood Honey. But, then I realized I was kidding myself because I think all of those stories that are going to be in there except one are available on the outside as well. But that's how I'm just like, it's got all these stories. It's not just the same book over and over. I could justify that.
I'm in the desert looking at these mittens thinking, man, I really need these mittens in this desert here. And EVS has sold it to me.
Comic Cast once on the stream. We're about to wrap up, man. But you're welcome to come on another time. I'll find you on Twitter and we'll DM and try and get something organized. Yeah, so it looks like who's that? Anti-CG. Yeah, maybe there are. Like, I just feel CG is the place where everyone has fun. That we have the best streams, the most fun, the most variety. I don't know if you guys caught 6 a.m. Comics did an awesome like rap battle thing on Twitter the other day. And I was just like, man, we have just the best people in here having the most fun. And it just seems like YouTube is tightening the screws. You can't have any fun. My stream got nuked. I showed some boobs yesterday. Not real boobs, like anime titties.
With clothing.
With clothing. Oh, it's completely clothed. And they were moving in mysterious ways, but yeah, that got taken down. Oh, my favorite man in the world is here. Sorry, guys. Sorry. One of my favorite men in the world is here. Planet Tobal, Matt Fitzgerald. I haven't actually spoken to Matt since he did that incredible. Everyone goes sub to Matt's channel. I don't know if I can get the link right now, but it's like Planet Tobal, I think, isn't it? His channel. He has a video on there which is just freaking, I was in tears. It's so hilarious. It's the impersonation of Rand Steve talking about Xenotype and the Lucent. And oh my God, I wish I had filmed a one of those reaction videos of it because I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. Yeah, it was an anime. You can find it on Twitter, CG World Order, of of someone shooting a gun, and the bullet, and this woman is doing sort of like a Neo bend back, Matrix slow motion kind of movements, and her boobs are going in and out, and the bullet kind of passes between them.
I
Smiling
definitely
Ben-
gonna watch that.
Yeah, you should check it out. Unfortunately, it's not on my show anymore. Sorry, man. We're actually going to wrap up in about 5 minutes' time. So I just thought we'd look at Ethan's Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet is just, it's gone amazing. What an incredible thing. And he was saying on the stream, like, when this does well, there's a lot of buzz around Indiegogo and Comicsgate. And, I just think that's probably true. There's been just so many people doing so well. And that brings me to Vestige as well. Like these guys, over 100,000 now, which that didn't seem like it was going to happen for the longest time, but they stuck with it. And obviously, they're out there putting on shows all the time. And I haven't heard a single bad thing about this book. People have been raving about it. Our boy Poland has just got his copy, and he says it's amazing. So yeah, everyone has been talking about it. Is that the link, Samurai, to the?
That's to Rand Steele or the.
Okay, so yeah, copy that. Don't go yet because we've still got a few minutes to go. But yeah, that's the link in there. So copy that to your whatever they are, and watch it after because it is. Yeah. Nerd is the word. That's right. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He is an impersonation genius, and he's very, very good comedy writer too. So, yeah, Planet Tobal, he's amazing, and he makes a cool game. It's just got everything going for him.
Yeah, and Drew has another subscriber.
Oh, good. Yeah, everyone.
I see that. Thank you very much, Drew.
Yeah, don't get too excited, man. It's just me.
Hey, I get excited with every single. I got a dislike the other day. I was like, my first dislike. Yes.
I remember my first dislike. You're like, what do you like about it? What's happening?
I didn't care.
No,
I was like,
hey, I care about every single one of my subscribers too. You got to cherish your subscribers and give them what they want. Look, we've got 22 people in here right now. I think we had even more earlier, which is amazing considering how many shows are out there at the moment. Although poor Ethan got his taken down. I hope he starts up another one because I want him to go even higher.
I got a notification for he's over with the other guys now.
Yeah, I've got as the Jack show started.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm on 171 backers, which is just it's hard to believe and it's amazing. Thank you everyone who's backed this. This is just so cool. I can't believe it's gotten this high. I wanted to go even higher because if we scroll down at 10K, we get this UV spot gloss cover, which is just going to be super cool. It's just that when I conceptualized this cover, I had that in mind. So yeah, we've got time. I really want to make it to there. And all you guys who've backed it, you've been the ones who've helped me get to this point. So thank you so much. I can't express how humbled and honored I am that you've put your trust in me as a first timer on this stuff. But we'll get you. Yeah, I hope so. Fingers crossed. It's a big. Best show in CG. Is that mine, Smiling Bandito? Thank you. I'll take it. If you're going to say that about me, I'll take it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. We should talk about this stuff because it just seems to be happening more and more and more. Is that you, James Dean? Your comics cast, right? Okay. Now I get it. Okay. Yeah, well, I think we're going to end out there. We had a nice, fun discussion. We met Drew. He seems like a pretty cool guy. Once he got his microphone sorted out, it all worked out in the end. Oh my God, 200 backers and rants. Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. I would kill for that. Like the way when Rand was ripping into me, I was just. Man, I'm not joking. I had tears running down my face, and it was It was incredible. Yeah, sorry guys. This is my my lunch break, so I only do get an hour, and I'm pushing it even a bit now. So I would love to chat to you, James, and talk about what just happened to Ethan, but maybe tomorrow. Oh, and I forgot. Tomorrow at it's at 6 p.m. So it's going to be a little bit earlier than this show. At 6 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to have Camel Moon on, and we're going to be chatting about animation. I've got a new animation that I'm making. It's going to be super funny. I'm going to make a little clip. I've got a little clip. It's probably going to be about 15, 20 seconds long. Don't get too excited, but it's pretty funny. And it's going to be from my upcoming cartoon that I'm making. And we're going to chat about Hal Salad, his cartoon, and he's got a new campaign coming. So yeah, make sure you if you're not subscribed, make sure you do subscribe, get that notification on so you will not miss out on that. I'll be sharing it on Twitter and everything. And yeah, thank you guys for coming. As always, Blue Samurai, always a pleasure. Drew, it was great to have you here. I'm sure we'll have you on again.
I hope so, very much.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.